Hi everyone, I'm 𝘁𝗵𝗁, agentic architect, and today I want to talk with you about what I call the communication triangle. So I see a lot of confusion going around the internet in relation with systems, humans, AI, agents, how to make them work together, how to make them collaborate with each other. And I also hear quite some errors in logic, like saying that MCP is going to replace APIs, or that MCP can be used, for example, to make two agents talk with each other. So today we are going to analyze this difference between the types of agents, and we are going to explore how each type of agent should communicate with the other. Let's go. So in past videos, we already discussed the concept of an agent, right? And I don't mean here just an AI agent, although that's basically what nowadays everyone is talking about, but the concept of the word agent, or the concept of agent itself, is something that goes quite far in time. So in the 80s, when we had the appearance of multi-agentic systems, or multi-agent systems, there was this discussion of what it is considered an agent. So an agent is an entity that has the capability of read from environment through sensors, also has the capability of make decisions according to some specific simpler or complex algorithm that exists in its core, and finally take actions depending on those decisions using actuators, right? So if we have an entity that uses these three characteristics to exist in the surroundings, in the environment, in this case we are talking about an agent, right? So nowadays, I know we hear a lot about models, about agents, agentic, but for now, let's just focus in agent. So if we consider nowadays, in the world that we know, let us consider here some types of agents that we use on a daily basis, right? So we have first the one that we know better, I would say. So the human agent, right? So in this case, we have the capability of reading from the environment using our senses. We use our brain then to make decisions, and then we use our body, also with the actuators that we have, mouth, touch, and so on, to take actions, right? So we have humans, the first type of action, the agent. Then we have systems, right? So this is also quite some familiar to us. We are used to know about this type of systems, and we work with them quite for some years, but they are also agents because they have ways to read from the environment or from the internet or from whatever type of inputs it might be possible to give. They can make decisions according to some algorithm, normally more deterministic in this case, and then they can take actions. But in these last years, with the evolution of generative AI, well, with the appearance of the large language models and so on, we also start having the rise of a new type of agent, the so-called AI agent. And this AI agent brought here a new triangle of communication, so to say, because before we had humans and systems, and now we have here a third one that is the AI agent, right? So in reality, this means that we had now to start having more like a triangle of communication between us three, right? Because right now, we as humans, we can communicate both with systems or with AI agents. Also, the systems can communicate with humans or with AI agents, and also the AI agents can communicate with both of them. But just to consider all the possibilities here, we also need to consider the fact that humans also talk with humans or communicate with humans. Systems also communicate with other systems, and agents also communicate with other agents. So we have these type of relations where each type of agent can communicate with the other three types of agents. And now let's see how can we defer this type of communication, right? So we could consider, for example, something more in terms of a matured and a disruptive concept, right? Because as I said before, we already worked for quite some years with humans and with systems. So we are more matured in this idea of knowing what humans can do, what machines or what systems can do, right? So there is not an issue right now separating the scope of each one of these two agents. But then we have the disrupting concept of AI agents, right? Nowadays, we still discuss a lot of them. That's why I'm also doing this video, because there are a lot of concepts spread all over the internet. And so we could separate this triangle in terms of something that is more matured and something that is more disrupting. But we can also separate in terms of artificial or non-artificial. This meaning that as humans, in this case, we were not created by ourselves, so to say, but the systems and the agents, they are a product of our creation. So we could also separate in this way, although in terms of philosophy, this could give some discussion, but not for the purpose of this video. So we come across into a different way of differentiating these three, that is by the way they communicate. And this case, I separate agents and humans from systems, because agents and humans, we use what is called an unstructured communication. So this means that, of course, we use grammar. We have grammar rules, syntax. Each language is unique in that part. But the way we talk, it's open. We don't have a format that we need to comply with. So I can say, hello, my name is Tiago, but I can say, hello, I'm Tiago. Hello, Tiago here. So there are different ways of saying the same thing. And it's like a continuous text. So if we would put this into a variable, we would put into a string that has all the text that I say. But with systems, it's quite different, because systems, they need to have order. They need to comply with rules of the different ways to communicate with them, right? They are expecting some kind of a form, some kind of a format. And in this way, we say that the systems use structured communication. So you can see here an example of a system that receives an object person that has the attributes name with the value Tiago and is happy true. So this means that between these two agents or type of agents, and in this case, the three types of agents, putting the human and AI agent in the unstructured communication part and the system in the structured communication part, this means that we'll need to have different ways of communicating between them. And let's see that. So let's first go with the simplest, or the one that is more older, so to say. So people talking with each other. In this case, the way we do normally is by talk. As I said, in an unstructured way, we emit sounds with a set of rules defined by the language, but the way we talk, it's unstructured. We do it fluently, right? Then we also have between systems, because they both are in the structured communication region. They follow using APIs, and normally those APIs, they follow certain rules, right? They have a structure, so we can see in the documentation, if we want to call a certain API, which format we must use, which JSON schema we must use, with what attributes and what type of them, right? So we follow in this API a really strict and rigid structure. Then we have basically the way as humans being interacting with systems, right, for quite some years. And normally the way humans interact with systems is by using applications, right? We have a website, we have applications on our computer installed or in our mobile phone, and we use those apps to communicate with systems. And normally we do that in a sort of actions. We fill some information, we press buttons, or we drag the screen, or we do n types of different operations so that we can interact with the system. So this means that we use the visual and the touch of applications in the websites or installed applications in our computer for us to integrate with systems. And also systems use the same visual helpers or with sound, but always in devices to communicate back to us. But now we have a new type of agent. As I said, we have the AI agent, right? And so this means that this AI agent also will need to communicate both with humans and with computers or with systems. And with us, it's more easy to say because due to the fact that the AI agents, they do live inside devices, computers. So this means that they always need to use a sort of a wrapper in terms of an app, normally an app, a mobile app or a website, to communicate with humans, right? So that is basically the wrapper. But the way that it communicates, it's always in terms of messages, being them by written text or by audio. But the way the communication flows between AI agents and humans, it's always using message. Then we have the AI agents and the systems. And this is where it starts a bit going into what I say, the chaotic world that we see nowadays on the internet and on LinkedIn. Because this is precisely the reason why Anthropic create the MCP, right? So the reason why MCP exists is because before this protocol existed, if we wanted an AI agent to communicate with a system, we would have to implement a lot of guardrails and customizations on top of that, due to the fact that AI agents use unstructured communication, but the systems expect structured communication. So if we would have to ask an AI agent to reply using a certain JSON structure so that we could then pick the message, put it on a system or an API, and it would always be really risky because first the agent could always hallucinate and not reply exactly with that JSON, or we would have to, for each function, each tool, each type of API call, we would always had to customize that with the agent. And so by creating this MCP, so this model context protocol, we basically define, along other things, but we defined a way to customize or to standardize tool calling so that agents could reply in the way that they know how to reply in unstructured communication, but with the compliance of structured communication so that it could be sent to systems, and the systems could also reply back. And this is the first important characteristic here, because as you guys may see, MCP stands in a different place of APIs. And the reason for that is because the sources are different. APIs are used to put systems talking with other systems. MCP is used for AI agents to communicate with systems and vice versa. So no, MCP is not something that will replace APIs. Those are different contexts, and they should belong separate, because MCP, if anyone here reads the specification of this protocol, you will see that it is made to be used by AI agents with systems, not between two systems. And then we have also another missing communication, that is an AI agent to an AI agent, right? And in this case, it's not so talked nowadays, but I believe it will grow up in the future. It will exist the need of that. And in this case, we have quite some protocols, but I honestly like the one that Google proposed, the agent to agent. And basically, this is a protocol where allows two entities, AI agents in this case, to communicate in an unstructured way. So they basically align on the capabilities that they have, the knowledge that they have, and then after that it becomes more like switching messages, like if they were using a sort of a WhatsApp between them in a very simplified way. But we have this agent to agent, and again, you guys may see here that MCP and A2A, they are different again, because MCP is made to be used for systems, not to make agents talk with each other. Of course, that, for example, in OutSystems right now, there is no A2A protocol being implemented. We would have to do it ourselves. So we could use MCP to bridge this, but again, I would prefer to use other sorts of codes instead of mixing protocols. And finally, just as a small addition here, because this is really in an early ages, but I do believe a lot in the potential of this protocol, we will also have in the future the agent to UI. And this agent to UI, it's a really interesting thing, because it shows a lot the potential of having a dynamic UI instead of having fixed applications with fixed web pages. But just to summarize here, you can imagine agent to UI being a way for an agent to communicate something visually back to us using a website, but with dynamic elements. So you can imagine having all sorts of AI UI patterns or UX patterns already predefined in the web server. And then every time the agent wants to give something back to us, if it is a list of emails, if it is a calendar, if it is an egg recipe, an omelette recipe, he will use a predefined JSON explaining how he wants the website to be shown to us users. So he will say that I want to have on the top a panel with a label, and this label should be this value, and then I want to have a list of a type of a checklist, and so on. So the agent will dynamically build the structure of the website so that the website can be shown back to us. So I also believe that this will be an important protocol to have in the future. I know that Microsoft is already moving forward a bit with this same way of working. So yeah, let's see how this evolves. But just to recap, I do think that it's really important nowadays for us to not put everything in the same bag. Yeah, this is more a Portuguese saying, but I can put it in English, you will understand. So it's important for us to not mix everything in the same place. So there is the need to define first what is a scope of a human, a scope of a system, a scope of an AI agent, right? These three types of agents that they differ in different ways, but it's also important to know how they communicate with each other and how should we use the different ways of this communication to better suit the solutions that we want to build. So I hope that this video helped knowing how to differentiate the types of agents, but more important, the types of communication and protocols that each one of the types should have. I will post more content related with this. Follow me and follow my channel if you want to see more content related with AI. Have a nice day.